everyone. I'm Hammond. I'm the Vice President of Biotech Connection Los Angeles, BCLA. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization aiming to connect and inspire all stakeholders of the biotech industry in Los Angeles. For more information, you can visit bc-la.org. Today, I'm really excited to be talking to Carolina Amador. She served as the president of BCLA from 2017 to 2018 and is currently the chair of the advisory board of BCLA. She works at Amgen as a commercial insights manager. Welcome, Carolina.
Thank you, Hammond. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, so I know you pretty well, but for those of the people who don't know that well, can you tell me a bit about your career path and what led you to your position right now?
Right, so let's see. My career path is pretty straightforward. I have 10 years of experience in research. As you know, I started my first year in research was actually my first year of college. So I did my college, my bachelor's degree, then master's degree, and then ended up starting a PhD here in the US, USC. All of that career in, drug development, so in the lab. And recently when, I finished my PhD, December 10th, 2018, I'll never forget this date. So I defended my PhD, got the doctorate degree, and started a job at Amgen in the, commercial insights team. And that was a year and a half ago. So that's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm. And how was the job hunting for you?
It was pretty tough. Job hunting was really tough. There are different aspects of it, right? So first of all was that I was shifting careers. So I wanted to leave the lab, and that is seen, even though I have been in the drug development, academic side for so long, going to industry and going outside the lab, it is a shift in your career. And then second, I'm an immigrant in the US. So there is also that layer of trying to find what best job for you that also allows you to work under your visa. So it was not easy, but I did it, and many people do it, so the audience can do it too.
Yes. And what does a workday look like for you?
Every day in the morning, I start by reading the news, right? So I want to know what's going on in the biotech and pharma world. So this is like generic news. Recent example was the Trump executive order for drug pricing, right? So following that, and Moderna's phase 3 starting. So that's general. And then I go a little bit more deep and funnel it up to the actual therapeutic areas that I cover, right? So that's usually how I start my morning. Usually it takes me, I would say, about 2 hours to get done with like all the news and all the databases and everything. If I cannot do everything right in the morning, then I do it at my lunchtime also, but that's part of my day. And then we go into meetings. So we do meet with a lot of people. So you have, when you work in a cross-functional team, you have to meet with a lot of different functions, a lot of different people, and usually work in more than one product, and you have lots of projects going on. So you do have a lot of meetings, and then many other things like tasks, making slides, presenting at meetings, seeing the word on the street about the analysts, right? All the brokers and the equity firms, where they're putting their money in. So just, understanding all of that. And my particular job, I focus on the competition. So I focus on what our competitors or, what other molecules or drugs will enter the market. So I focus on that. And it's a lot to focus on. Competition is good.
Sounds like you have a very intense day. So what do you think is some of the most important skills if someone wants to do your job? Well, obviously you need to have a solid scientific background, but besides that, if people who want to do your job, what do you think they must have?
Paying attention to detail is very important, but I also think you shouldn't get lost in all the details. And I feel that is a big thing to adapt coming from academia. We usually do get so deep into trying to fix that one thing that we sometimes lose perspective of everything that's around. So I think it's very important to be detail oriented, but not to lose your mind, on the details. So knowing when to stop, that's very important. I think being curious, which researchers and PhDs absolutely have that skill. So once you start this type of jobs, that, it's very specific sort of jobs, you can just get into your routine pretty easily. So you need to be able to stop, step back, and analyze. So have a more strategic thinking rather than just doing your task day to day. So I feel that's very important. And again, I also feel that's something PhDs have, because our training was to solve problems, right? To fix puzzles. So that skill, I think it's very important to carry on for a job like this.
It's very interesting you mentioned about the information part of the skill, because I think no matter what industry you end up in, or no matter how you change your career path, you have to have that skill to analyze, to simplify all the information in the world and use it into your advantage. I think this is the same
Yes.
for everything.
Yes, that word that you use, simplification, is so important,
Yes.
because there is a lot out there and we all know a lot about something, right? And we are all opinionated people, so we can talk and talk. What's important is you have to select and synthesize what important information you should pass along.
Exactly. So I think that also covers my next question. What is the biggest challenge? I think that is probably the biggest challenge in your daily life, a daily job, is to like gather all this information and simplify them and to filter this information. But what is the biggest reward in your job, in your position?
I feel, especially with a scientific background, we want to make sure that every information we pass along is correct, right? Because, my experience, working in academia is that there is always someone else that knows more, right? There is always an expert on that research topic because of many years of experience that people have. So we always question ourselves about what we are saying, right? And if you say something that you don't have data, right, to support, then someone will call you out immediately, right? So that, since that was my training, I'm very meticulous about every email I sent, about, especially when it's, to like large distribution lists, right? Thousands of people, especially when it is global, right? So not just US, and I'm talking about, something happening in Japan or Europe. So I'm very meticulous, and I spend a lot of hours writing those emails and making sure everything I'm saying has, can
Has
be
weight.
cited.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm also, not native speaker in English, I'm very careful with my English when I send it out to a lot of people. So the best reward is when I get an email back and people just thank me, for the time that I spent on it, that the information is very concise, very to the point, that they really appreciate my analysis. And that's just the best, because I did spend a lot of hours doing it. So
Yes, I think that also very important to everyone is that when you write email or when you are in the work to write a message, carry weight in every word. Don't.
yes.
It's very easy to say blah blah blah, but it's not easy to say a concise sentence that has a lot of information inside.
And it's very easy to forward an email that
Mhm.
has wrong information.
True. Yeah.
So your word gets carried out a lot, which is something that doesn't happen as frequently in academia, because usually you don't meet with that many different people.
Mhm.
In calls, we sometimes have calls with 50 people, right? International people, or emails with 1,000 recipients, right? So it gets, bad information gets passed really, really fast.
And also bad reputation.
That comes with bad
Yeah.
reputation, yeah.
And what are some of the things that you wish you had known before you started your position?
That's such a tough question, and I'm gonna tell you, because everything, I didn't know anything. It's such a different world that it's almost impossible. And I'm not saying this to discourage people in any way. You know, it's fun. It's fun to be part of this process, and you know, to challenge yourself. And then when you start understanding how things work, you feel so proud because you have done the work. Um, but it is such a different world coming from academia, research academia, to business in biotech, that I didn't know anything. And I think it's important for people to go in with the mindset that those 3 6 months are just going to be a learning process. And you should ask questions, because that's the time to ask questions. You know, don't pretend that you already know, or that you don't want to, you know, upset, or, you know, you want to your boss to have high expectations. With me, it was like, I'm going to do my best. You know, these are my skills. I know I can do the job.
I think the learning process is also a lifelong process. It's not
Yeah.
that you stay, even if you stay in the same industry for your whole life, you still have to learn every day.
And you need to be open to learn, right?
Yes.
That's the other thing, because as you also stay many years in the same industry, you have newer people coming in. You have people that came from other industries, right? You have people
Very
coming
true.
from tech to biotech, cosmetics to, you know, pharmaceutical. We need to be open and accept that learning is just part of the process. But, you know, I feel as the first job, right, more so, you have to be open that that's going to be your journey. It's going to take your time, but you are not alone, right? You need to be open to with your boss and your manager. That's the process. And if they hire you, it's because they believe in you, right? So
True. And in today's world, I feel like, especially in today's world and maybe in the future, I think career is a jungle gym. It's not a ladder. So you jump around and you maybe you cross many different industries, many different sectors. And I think the learning is so important. So wherever you go, you have to be very open-minded. You have to be humble, and you have to be willing to learn a lot every day. And I think that's the same for everyone.
And, you know, think about the current times right now, right? If last year someone had said that almost every pharmaceutical was going to be working from home, you'd say no, right? But this is the world we live in. We all have to adapt, and we all have to learn. And that's, you know, that's the skill everyone needs to have, whether we like it or not, you know?
Very true. Okay. My second to last question is that what are some of the most important things you think that you were taught in graduate school? Or what are some of the most important things that you think you were not taught in graduate school and should have been taught in graduate school?
That's a great question. So I'll start with not taught in grad school, because I have a lot to say about that. You know, of course, I'm here talking about my own experience, but we all have different skills, right? Different research topics that we worked on. What I feel in my case is that I knew how to synthesize drugs. I knew how to make the drugs in the lab, but that was it. I didn't know what happened after, right? And I feel my PhD program should have given me a more broader idea of what's the process of, you know, a product that you start in academia or that you start in the lab in research. Where does it go? What do you do with it? And if it gets approved, you know, if it has good efficacy and good biological results, what happens next? None of that process was taught to me, and none of the big picture process is taught to any of us in a PhD, right? They focus you on that skill, which is important to have, but as you are ending your PhD, right, you pass your quals, you pass all that, you have to ask yourself where you want to go, and you are not prepared, you know, like they just don't teach us, right? And some people are more fortunate than others. It's going to depend on your school, on how resilient you are trying to find answers to this. But, you know, like, it is so important to know what comes after, right? Why is this important that I'm doing? Where does it fit within the whole picture of drug development? So that's a big one, and I don't think it's going to change. But I do, encourage students to complain about this, because, if I would get to pharmaceutical already know more about, where does marketing come in place, when does manufacturing come in place, what about supply chain, right? My immersion would have been easier. So your other question was?
What are some of the most important things that you were actually taught in grad
school? Yeah, a lot. The things that I spent more time in, getting that compounds, or, other cases, isolating that protein, finding that process, whatever it is, the results at the end didn't really matter. Okay, let me put this in another words. It did matter back then, but now looking back, didn't bring something additional to my career. What did bring were the skills of the process, right? Patience, resilience, working long hours, working on weekends, being able to solve puzzles and connect dots, right? So, at the beginning I mentioned about, solving out a puzzle, right? That's strategic thinking that we were developing. And those you can apply anywhere, in any job, regardless if it's research or, business, a more business job.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think right now, in 10 years, if I look back, I would probably feel the same. The results probably won't matter as much, but the process is what will benefit me the most.
Yeah.
And my last question is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I know you have great ambitions. So you can tell us 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. It's up to you. Where do you see yourself?
I honestly don't like that question. I'm going to tell you. I feel it's not fair. And it's not fair because I'm now just learning, what the biotech and the pharmaceutical is. So you see what I mean? Like we have so many years of experience in the lab, and then you shift, and then you are in this whole new world, and I'm still trying to understand what fits best with me. So also 10 years is a really long time, and I don't know. But let me see if I can answer that.
Maybe 5 years, or maybe 2 years.
2 years. 2 years is more doable. No, so seriously, what I really do want is to be passionate about what I do, and to work with really great people. And I feel that's always going to be my path. And I want to do something with purpose, right? Either improving quality of life for people, being part of the healthcare system. That's sort of my mantra. That's where I want my career to go. But one thing I think it's very important is, if you had asked me this question when I started my PhD, I would have told you that I wanted to start a company. Okay, that would be my thing. I want to start a company. 5 years have passed, and I feel that the best thing for me after my PhD was not to start a company, was to learn from a big company. So what I want to say with this is, I feel it's important that you know who you are, you have a path forward, but also don't have such a specific path in your head that you will miss other opportunities. Because my first job in competitive intelligence, I did not know what competitive intelligence was. Right? When I applied for it, I spent hours searching what is competitive intelligence, right? What does it mean, commercial insights? If I wasn't open to that, then I wouldn't haven't started. And I love my job. I really love my job.
Wow, great answer. I think that is a great answer. That is probably much more down to earth than a lot of, big words. And I have an add-on question since we have 5 minutes left. How do you see life-work balance? You said that you want a position, you want a career that you are passionate about. What about life-work balance?
I feel that work-life balance is without question a priority, right? Work-life balance. What I've done myself is accept that it cannot always be 50-50, right? So some days I'm going to give more to my work, and other days I'll give it, less to my work and more to my family and personal time. And so it will balance out, but I don't feel it's always even. And I feel that's okay, because I feel we all have different times in our, life and in our careers. And when the time comes to giving more to family, I will. But in the meantime, giving more to my job, it's something that I just love to do. And I also think that's the difference, right? With the passion side, because I don't see one is threatening the other. If I am professionally fulfilled, if I am loving my job and passionate about my job, then I'm also happier, with my family. It's true, right?
In the end, all your family members have to thank your boss or your superior for giving you this job.
But it's true, it is true. So I feel everyone needs to find their balance, and I also feel it's okay to that balance is going to change and not always be even. But at the end of the year, right, at the end of the day, you will feel fulfilled both in our personal and professional life. That's my hope. I'll let you know in a couple of years.
Yes, please. I'm sure you will. Okay, that is gonna be our informational interview with Carolina. It's short and sweet, and I hope you enjoyed it.